okay. Quite honestly, I didn't expect to make a chronicle today, but I have to make a chronicle. Why? Well, I've learned the news that, Rhapsody is sick today, so this is the best way that I can communicate with him. And, I'm not gonna message his mom, though, telling her to tell him to look at the Chronicle. He's just gotta look for it himself, you know. But, yeah. Yeah, now that it's, known to me that, Rhapsody's okay and that he's just sick and that I'll have his phone tomorrow, it's for the best that I can, begin to make a chronicle so that he can hear my voice today and stuff, you know? Okay, anyways, I don't really have much to talk about today, though a lot of stuff has occurred. I guess, what should I talk about? Maybe death, because yesterday there was a lot of death, and it's reminding me of the other times in my life where I encountered death directly. So I guess I'll just sort of recount my experiences with death. So, well, how did I first experience death? Well, I'd say, my first experience with death was likely, no, I already knew the concept of being dead, but it's, I think I've talked about it before, right, it was one night in 2011 or 2012, and I was living with my parents, and, my dad and I, we were watching Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network, at night, becomes Adult Swim. So we just went around and we were watching Robot Chicken. Now, while we were watching Robot Chicken, went through the regular, fucking assortment of cartoons and stuff, of jokes. But then it got to this one about Scooby-Doo, and it's where Scooby-Doo and the gang, they go to Camp Crystal Lake, and they're all killed by Jason, except Velma, I think. It's weird, but yeah, they all were killed pretty brutally, and that was my first exposure to Scooby-Doo, and I'd say probably my first exposure of like full-on depictions of death. And that traumatized me for a couple years. I was pretty scared. At the time I was 3 or 2 years old when I saw it. So, of course, you can imagine it's probably not the most, splendid thing for a 3-year-old to see, or a 2-year-old. I was somewhere around the ages of that at the time. Of course, those were false deaths, where no one really died, because they're just Scooby-Doo. But, that isn't exactly, all the deaths that I've experienced. Of course, I've experienced tons throughout media, but I'm talking about, like, good ones. That's just sort of the initial exposure to the concept and seeing it occur. No. I guess, my next experience with death would likely be around the age of 9 years old. Looked up some gore, was quite scared. Over the years, I looked at more gore and wasn't as scared, and just sort of got numb to it, and a general fascination in some areas. Like if I'm bored, I go look at it, get all spook, and continue. But then after some point, I just didn't really react to it. I still don't. There's nothing special. Anyways, the okay, it probably sounds very weird. It wasn't really for enjoyment. It was just, to, I guess, yeah, curiosity, morbid curiosity, you could say, is what particularly motivated me in that. But now, what am I doing now? I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm talking about my experiences with death. And I just recounted how I experienced gore. So I might as well recount how I experienced other things. Don't you think that's good? To recount how you experienced some other things? Yes, okay. So I guess in terms of people dying, I completely went over this. I probably talked about it before in the Chronicles too, but when I was 6 years old, I saw my grandmother Carolyn, and she was dead. I looked at her in her coffin. When I looked over her body, there was briefly overlaid on my vision a little blue orb, like over her face. It was sort of overlaid in the way that like a floater is, in your eye. Yeah. And it just grew a little, and I just looked directly into her face where the orb was. It was pretty strange seeing a dead person. But the main thing that annoyed me that day was just how small and tight my shoes were, and how that small and tightness probably led to like a lot of sweating, so it attracted a fuck ton of mosquitoes. And I had so many mosquito bites around my ankles, it was terrible. The only thing I know about that grandmother is that she really liked putting salt on her hand and then licking it. And that's something I did a lot as a kid. So, yeah, I don't really know much else about her. Interestingly enough, I saw this big M thing in my room because it's where my aunt used to live in, and it was for graduation because, M is part of her first name. It was the first letter in her first name. And, interestingly enough, it says Grandma Carolyn on there for one of the, oh shit. Oh, I'm retarded. That's a different grandmother. She's still alive. Yeah, her name is Grandma Carol. Okay, yes. Retarded. Okay. Yeah. I guess I might as well bring up the next instance with death. So, in the timeline, it would be 3 with the Scooby-Doo, 6 with the grandmother, with Carol, and, I think that was her name. Probably wasn't, but, what else? What else do I need to do? Oh, yeah. And, later, around 9, when I looked at gore. So, how does it continue from there? My next full-on experience with death would be around the age of 11, I believe. Around the age 11 or 12, there was this girl with Down syndrome in my school. So I just saw her walking down the halls and stuff, and she fucking died from like an infection that the Down syndrome had something to do with. I guess it weakened her immune system. So yeah, she died from that infection, unfortunately. And yeah, it's really unfortunate that she died, because he could have, lived a life, had fun, played with toys. Although I do think, oh wait, yeah, they have to, they can't enter the workforce until they're at least 20 and stuff like. She had so much luck, but it led to her death, unfortunately. And I never really talked to that girl or anything, but it was like, oh damn, she's dead. But yeah, my experiences with death then end for a bit. Then they pick up around 2024 when that's the year I turned 16, but I'm pretty sure I'm 15 for most of these. So I just encounter. Oh wait, no, not encounter. I had this Discord server that I owned, and one day a guy joined it, and he took bath salts, and I was pretty sure that he took like lethal dose of them. Well, for the first thing, he took fucking bath salts, so that already leaves you susceptible to a lot of, potential death and or, complications. But from what it seemed like he took a high dose of it, so I was like pretty sure he was gonna die. He didn't die. Got pretty close to it, I think. But yeah, he went like complete gibberish when I started hitting and shit, and seemed like he was gonna die, but he didn't, so that was good. But my next encounter with death was from Discord as well. It was, oh yeah, one of the members of it died. He was a very prominent artist in a certain scene. All I'm gonna say is that chud culture is dead. If you know, you know. But he made amazing music. You could say he left a watermark on some people. But, yeah, he ended up dying in a car crash late one night after having a date at the age of 20, I believe. And I talked with him a bit before. And I was a little upset by his death. Not particularly sad or anything, just like, it sucks the way it happened, and that, that you'd never make any more music again. At the very least, died happy. Happened at 1 a.m. And I was a bit of an ass at the time because I was a little bit in psychosis at the time. I was weaning off of that, so I thought that there was some sort of conspiracy behind it. Instead of like doing condolences or something, I started immediately trying to get to the bottom of it, so it made people a little uncomfortable. Yeah. My next experience with death was after I quit Discord, and it was this year, 2025, in January 22nd. Basically, this guy he was a fan of me, a fan of, the music I reposted. He liked a lot of music I reposted, especially on SoundCloud. And he also was, just a really big fan of that music in general. He even liked the playlist that Absidy made for me. But yeah, he ended up dying in a school shooting, unfortunately. So yeah, rest in peace. It's such a shame that people are taken by gun violence. No. Uh, and my last experience with death was yesterday. It was where three people that no, it was this one person that I really hated. Uh, she got in a car crash. She survived. However, um, two of her friends are dead, and one of them is in critical condition. And she was just a really, really, really bad person. She'd harassed like the nicest teacher ever. She was practically extorting her and shit. Bullied some Asian kid over and over again. And just generally acted really arrogant and like a bitch. And I always thought it would be really nice if she had some comeuppance. And she certainly got some fucking comeuppance. She only got minor injuries, but her life is ruined. So, I guess it makes me a little happy that someone who was rather wicked got punishment for what they did. Her friends, I don't really know those people at all, though I do figure they were likely similarly inclined, just given all the people that she was hanging out with. But yeah, it's nice that sometimes people are punished for the bad things they do. And I'm certainly glad about that. You wanna know one thing that I'm certainly glad about? I'm certainly glad that Absidy is my boyfriend. And I'm certainly glad that he's listening. Well, hopefully. He'll listen soon regardless. I don't really know where to continue with this, because I've already overlaid... Oh, wait! There is one more death I experienced. Oh, potential death. And it was also on that same day. Some girl fucking OD'd on ketamine, or probably fentanyl, in the bathroom. And she was taken out by firefighters and EMTs. Supposedly she was on a stretcher, though I didn't see that. I saw the EMTs from the hallway, though. And about 10 minutes after class started, before class started, as we were going in, one kid, he talked about firefighters being in the bathroom. And then 10 minutes later, the EMTs are out with the girl on the fucking stretcher. So yeah, it was an interesting day, to say the least. So I guess I'll leave the video at that. I love you, Absidy. We will be able to talk tomorrow.